Hello.
At the company retreat, my wife's arrogant boss told me she belongs to him now, and that I'd better accept it and keep funding her life. He threatened to ruin me if I resisted. So I destroyed them both without mercy. Conrad Duvall was the kind of man who never heard the word no unless it was followed by problem solved, sir. He spoke with a light Dutch accent, though no one could quite place its origin, like his money or his morals. The man wore arrogance like a tailored suit, which, to be fair, was exactly what he had on. You didn't need to be told he was powerful, you just knew. It oozed from him, from the way he smiled too long, too slow, from how he called your wife, Melissa, like he was tasting the syllables. We were standing near the edge of the patio at the Bright Path corporate retreat, a weekend of wine, fake laughter, an overpriced charcuterie board set out to distract people from the fact that half of them were on performance improvement plans. I had come as Melissa's +1, because that's what you do when you're the loving husband. The stable one. The one with the ring on her finger. Conrad was not her husband. But you wouldn't know that by watching him. He sipped his Bordeaux like it was blood and turned to me with a look that managed to be both amused and predatory. "She's got something in her, your Melissa," he said, voice soft, intimate, like a man letting you in on a secret you didn't want. "A kind of hunger. It's rare. She shouldn't waste it on a quiet life." I laughed once, flat and shallow. "Lucky for me, she likes the quiet life." Conrad's smile didn't move, but his eyes sharpened. "Come now. Let's not pretend." I looked across the lawn. Melissa was speaking with a few associates, smiling like someone who hadn't looked at me once in the last hour. The light caught her necklace, the one I bought her for our anniversary, and it glinted like an accusation. She didn't seem to be laughing at me. But not with me either. Conrad moved closer, lowering his voice. "This is where you bow out, David. You don't want to make things messy." "Messy?" I repeated, still staring at my wife. "I'm offering you a dignified exit. Nothing loud. No drama. You step back, she moves forward, and I promise you, I'll even send a bottle of something nice when the paperwork clears." It took everything I had not to hit him right there, teeth first. But I didn't. Because I'm not stupid. Men like Conrad don't bleed in public. They make you disappear behind closed doors and call it restructuring. I turned to him and smiled. "You done?" He raised an eyebrow, unbothered. "Not even close." He walked away without waiting for a response, like he knew the script and I was just a line waiting to be crossed out. Melissa looked up as he joined her group. She said something. He said something back. Then she laughed, not nervous, not awkward. Familiar. Warm. Like they'd shared more than just conversation. I didn't follow them into the lounge. I walked down the stone path behind the vineyard, past the parked Teslas and luxury shuttles. I needed air. I needed to scream. Instead, I stood beneath a pine tree and stared at the stars, wondering when exactly I had become the extra in my own life. You think betrayal comes with shouting, with slammed doors and broken glass. But sometimes, it comes in whispers, in glances, in the absence of eye contact. In the way your wife walks across a garden like she belongs to someone else now, and they both know it. Conrad had told me what was going to happen, and Melissa had already made sure I understood. This wasn't a negotiation. This was a hostile takeover. My only job now was to leave quietly, or be removed. And that's when I decided, I'm not going anywhere. Let him try to keep her. Let him try to keep anything. Because if he thinks I'm just another man he can intimidate with money and words, then he doesn't know the kind of hell a good man can build when you set his life on fire. The morning after the retreat started with the kind of silence that didn't feel natural. It felt calculated. Melissa barely spoke as we packed up. No hangover. No grogginess. Just that distant calm, like her body was here, but everything that made her mine had already moved out. I asked her if she slept well. She said, yeah, then zipped her suitcase like she was closing a door I wasn't invited to walk through. I didn't push it. Not yet. Because I already knew. We got home that afternoon. She went upstairs to unpack. I stayed downstairs and checked my email like a man pretending nothing had happened. And then, as if on cue, there it was. From Conrad Duvall. Subject, a friendly reminder. David. It was nice to see you this weekend. You're a class act. That said, I want to be perfectly clear about something. If you decide to make this complicated, there are consequences. Emotional ones. Financial ones. Professional ones. Asterisk, you may think this is about a woman. It's not. This is about roles, and yours is no longer what it used to be. Be smart. Step aside. Conrad, asterisk. No signature. No footer. Just the most condescending piece of digital poison I've ever read. Like he thought I'd read it, exhale, and thank him for being so polite about stealing my life. I closed the laptop and sat there for a long time. Not angry. Not yet. Just hollow. The kind of hollow you feel when you finally understand that someone didn't just cheat on you, they mocked you while doing it. Later that evening, Melissa came downstairs dressed like she was going out. Tight black pants. Heels she hadn't worn since our anniversary in Barcelona. Lipstick she said she'd grown out of. She looked beautiful in that cruel, expensive way. The kind of beautiful that meant someone else was watching now. You going somewhere? I asked. She paused like the question annoyed her. Just drinks with some of the team. You know. The usual after-lunch thing. She didn't look at me when she said it. Conrad going? I asked, evenly. She hesitated, just for a blink, then said, he might be. Might. Right. I didn't say anything else. She didn't either. The door closed behind her like a verdict. I poured a drink, sat down, and read his email again. Then again. Each time, the rage built a little more, layering over itself like rust on steel. Roles, and yours is no longer what it used to be. That's what he said. Like I'd been demoted in my own goddamn marriage. I started making calls that night. Quiet ones. To people Conrad didn't know I knew. To people who owed me favors from years ago, from back when I worked in risk management and could make or break contracts with a few lines of legalese. He thought I was just Melissa's husband. He forgot I had a spine. He forgot I had a past before her, and a future that didn't include watching another man turn me into a joke. The next morning, she came home at 6:42 a.m. I watched from the upstairs window as she stepped out of a black car I didn't recognize. Her blouse was misbuttoned. Her lipstick was gone. Her hair was up in that messy bun she used to wear only after sex. She didn't look ashamed. Not even tired. Just done. She walked into the house without a word. Past me in the hallway without even pausing. I turned, followed her to the bedroom, and asked just one question. Is this who you are now? She looked at me like she'd been waiting for me to finally get it. You made everything so small, she said, her voice flat. I needed more. Conrad sees me. I nodded once. Good. Because he's going to see a lot more than that before I'm done. She tilted her head, confused. But I was already walking away. Let him think this was about love. Let her think I'd just crumble. They'll both understand soon enough, this isn't heartbreak. This is the build-up to war. Her company hosted a follow-up celebration at Conrad's estate. Spouses were invited. I told Melissa I'd join. She looked shocked. I thought you might want space, she said. No, I replied calmly. I want ribs. She didn't know I'd already spoken to Andrea, Conrad's executive assistant, the one he fired last year for performance issues. What Conrad didn't know is that Andrea recorded everything, including one particular meeting where he bragged about reshuffling project funds to keep a certain marketing goddess in his private orbit. Andrea gave me a flash drive. I gave her 10 grand. So I went to the barbecue, dressed sharp, played the part. Smiled, shook hands, ate steak. Melissa stuck close to Conrad all night, laughing a little too loud, sipping from his drink like a woman who'd forgotten how to fake shame. The barbecue was already getting uncomfortable before I opened my mouth. Melissa kept following Conrad around like a groupie with a shared mortgage, and he played it up like the smug bastard he was. A hand on her back here. Whispering in her ear there. Laughing just loud enough for me to hear. So I waited. Let it all simmer. Then, just after the caramel-drizzled cheesecakes were served on little porcelain plates shaped like leaves, I stood up. I'd like to propose a toast. Forks clinked. Someone chuckled. People turned toward me, expecting the usual, so proud of my wife, routine. Conrad leaned back in his chair, legs crossed, a glass of bourbon in one hand and Melissa's attention in the other. To leadership, I said, raising my glass. To vision. And to the kind of executives who know how to stretch a corporate travel budget far enough to cover hotel suites, room service, and 2 bottles of Dom Perignon at the Avalon. Melissa's smile evaporated. Some people laughed, unsure if I was serious. One guy coughed. I kept going. To Conrad, I added, turning to him directly. The only man I've ever seen claim mentorship while wearing a robe and charging it to the department card. Now it was silent. Pin drop silent. Conrad shifted, still trying to smirk through it. David, I think you've had enough. Enough? I cut him off. You're right. I have. I've had enough of watching my wife sit on your lap at the last retreat's afterparty. I've had enough of pretending she's working late when she's on your boat, sorry, the company's boat. I've had enough of pretending I don't know about the money you funneled through the Shell marketing initiative to cover her private condo's lease downtown. Which, by the way, doesn't even have her name on it. Smart move. Someone gasped. Someone else stood up and slowly walked inside. I smiled. And I've had enough of the two of you acting like I'm invisible. So let me help you see me. I pulled out my phone, clicked one button, and started playing Andrea's recording over the Bluetooth speaker they'd used earlier for jazz music. Conrad's voice echoed out over the perfect lawn. I moved the expenses under client development. It's not fraud if no one finds it. People looked around in shock. Some looked at Melissa. Others looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. Then I delivered the final blow. I've already sent the flash drive to 3 members of the board and a lawyer. Oh, and Melissa? I canceled your corporate card. Then I raised my glass one last time. To Conrad Duvall, Mentor of the Year. And I walked out while they sat in the ruins of their own lie. Monday morning hit harder than a lawsuit. By 9 a.m., Conrad's face was already plastered across a dozen internal emails with subject lines like Urgent, Executive Ethics Review. Immediate suspension pending investigation. Please avoid media contact. She texted me before walking into the building. One word. Melissa came home that night. Slowly. You humiliated me, she said, voice tight, arms crossed like she still had leverage. No, I said, standing in the kitchen. You did that yourself. I just took the volume off mute. She looked tired. Not sad. Not sorry. Her face twisted. You're enjoying this. No, I said. But I am awake now. She sat down. Stared at nothing. I didn't think it would go this far. It's better, I think. I laughed, actually laughed. What exactly did you think would happen, Melissa? You keep your job, he keeps his wife, I keep my mouth shut. You two do long lunches and secret hotels while I mow the lawn and pick up the dry cleaning like a good little idiot? She didn't answer. Let me help you, I said, walking to the hallway. I opened the closet and pulled out a second cardboard box. Already packed. Already taped. This one's yours. You can cry in the car. I didn't reply. She was back outside within 2 hours, standing on the steps with a cardboard box in her arms like every other employee who thought sleeping with power would make them untouchable. And Conrad? He was already suspended with pay, because of course he was. But his office had been locked, his emails cut off, and his face scrubbed from the company website by lunch. She texted me 3 days later. No, hi. No, sorry. Just, can we talk? I stared at it for a full minute before locking the phone and putting it face down. She came by that evening anyway. I saw her through the blinds before she even knocked. Same heels. Same purse. Same woman who looked me in the eye and lied like she was telling me what time it was. I opened the door just long enough for her to speak. I'm not here to fight, she said. I just want to explain. I laughed. Explain what? That he made you feel seen? That sleeping with your boss was just networking with benefits? She didn't laugh. Of course she didn't. That would require a soul. She stepped forward like she still had a right to cross that threshold. David, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I nodded. Yeah, that's what you said on our wedding day too. Right before I do. She flinched. Good. That meant there was still something left to hit. She said she was confused. That everything happened fast. That Conrad was charming and persuasive. Like I hadn't already watched her climb into his car twice and out of her clothes once. Like I didn't have photos. Videos. Messages. She said she missed me. I told her I missed the version of her that used to look at me without guilt in her eyes. She said I changed. I told her, yeah. You did that. She said maybe we could start over. I said, you want to start over? Great. Start from the sidewalk. Then I shut the door in her face. I stood there in the quiet afterward, breathing slow, hands steady. No shaking. No second-guessing. That part of me, the one that hoped she'd come back crying, begging, changed. He died the second I watched her walk into a hotel with a man who called me buddy at the last company dinner. She thought I'd always be the guy who forgives. The guy who makes it work. The guy who eats the lie and smiles through the taste. But not anymore. You don't get to wreck a man's home and then knock on the ashes asking to come back in. Not in this house. Not in this lifetime. He showed up like he still had power. No call. No warning. Just him, standing at my front door in a black coat, eyes hidden behind sunglasses, like a movie villain who missed his own ending. I opened the door halfway. Didn't invite him in. Just looked at him like you'd look at something stuck to the bottom of your boot. You made a mess, he said. I didn't answer. You think this is over? He asked. You think you can humiliate me in front of my people and just walk away? Still quiet. I have friends, he said. Not lawyers. Not suits. I mean friends who don't care about rules and paperwork. Guys who handle things. The kind of men who don't call first. I smiled. You threatening me, Conrad? No, he said. I'm offering you a way out. You apologize. You retract what you said. You tell them the photos were old, misleading, personal drama, whatever. You make this go away. And in return, I make sure you stay, untouched. I make sure your shop doesn't mysteriously burn down. Or your brakes don't mysteriously fail. Or your name doesn't disappear from every vendor list in the state. I just looked at him. No fear. Just focus. And what about her? I asked. Melissa? He blinked. Just once. She'll be taken care of. But only if you stop acting like a man with options. I stepped forward, close enough for him to feel the shift. I already lost the woman I loved. I don't have anything left to lose. But you? You're about to lose everything you built on other men's backs. You don't know who you're dealing with, he said. No, I said. You don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't have come to my door and threatened me like some half-drunk gangster wearing designer shoes. He tensed up, but didn't move. You walk off my porch right now, I told him. Or you crawl off it. I don't care which. But either way, the next time someone shows up with threats, I won't open the door. I'll open the safe. He stared at me a few more seconds. Then turned and walked away. I didn't slam the door. Just locked it. Deadbolt and chain. Then went and checked the camera feed, made sure it was all recorded. Face. Voice. Words. Insurance. Let him make calls. Let him send his shadows. He came to scare me back into silence. All he did was prove he's terrified of the noise I've started. You ready for part 8? Because Melissa's about to realize the fantasy she bought into is falling apart, fast. She came by again. Not dressed up this time. No lipstick. No heels. Just a hoodie, jeans, and a face that finally looked like it understood the damage. She stood on my porch like someone waiting for a miracle. She didn't get one. I didn't know he'd go that far, she said, no hello, no small talk. He's not who I thought he was. No kidding, I said. She looked at me like she was hoping for softness. There wasn't any left. He's threatening people now. Saying I need to fix this. That I need to get you to walk it back or he'll cut me off. She actually made air quotes. Like that made it less pathetic. I leaned against the doorframe. So you're not worried about the threats. You're worried about losing his money. She looked away. That was the answer. He's paranoid, she said. He's accusing me of leaking things. He checks my phone now. Follows me when I leave. Said if I talk to you again, he'll handle it. Guess he's not charming anymore, huh? She didn't laugh. He's not who he pretended to be, she said again. Neither are you, I replied. That hit her. I made a mistake, she said. No, I said. You made a choice. Repeatedly. She stepped closer. I didn't think you'd turn into this. This? I asked. You mean the man who didn't beg you to stay? The man who didn't collapse when you picked a predator in a suit over your own husband? She was crying now. Good. She should. I miss what we had, she whispered. I looked her in the eye. So do I. And I mourned it. Alone. While you were drinking wine in someone else's condo. She reached for my hand. I didn't move. There's nothing left for you here, I said quietly. Go back to him. Or don't. I don't care anymore. But don't come here expecting the man you threw away to still be standing in the ruins waiting for you. She broke then. Shoulders shaking, face cracked open. But it was too late. I stepped back, closed the door, and let her sob to the porch lights. She wanted the fantasy. She got it. And now the mask is off and the monster's staring back at her, with empty eyes and a wallet that won't save her. Let her live in it. I don't. Not anymore. Conrad's name hit the internet again, not from me this time, but from people inside his own walls. Former employees. Vendors. A past intern. They came out like roaches when the lights flipped on. Anonymous threads. Screenshots. One woman went on record. Called him a narcissist in a CEO's suit. Another said he'd promised her a promotion in exchange for loyalty. Everyone knew what that meant. Everyone had known for years. But no one said anything until now. Because now, no one's afraid of the fire anymore. Melissa stopped trying to contact me. I think part of her thought I'd still cave. That if he turned on her hard enough, I'd be the safety net. But I'm not made of rope anymore. I'm a blade. Conrad's little empire started folding fast. His investors pulled back. A major client went public about moral concerns. His reputation wasn't just damaged, it was toxic. And the best part? He couldn't prove I did a thing. Not legally. Not directly. I never touched a file I didn't already have access to. I never broke a law. Just told the truth. Loud enough. The man who threatened me with nameless friends now had to hire 2 security guards for his own damn office, not because of me, but because people wanted refunds, payback, or blood. Probably all 3. And me? I finally slept. 8 hours, dreamless. No nightmares. No what-ifs. Just the cold, clean quiet of knowing the enemy is losing, and I never had to touch him.
Bye-bye.